Hello everyone, this is MC Deck Discussions and I'm B Small, and today we have another tournament gameplay, so full gameplay, and we have, let's go ahead and show who we have. Okay. So we have Domino. So for this second week, all of us are facing, all of us playing in the tournament here are facing Expert M.O.D.O.K, and notice I'll go ahead and, as like in the other ones, I will share the setup for M.O.D.O.K. So if you want to skip, any things that you want to skip, you can. I'll have the timestamps. And then after I do the setup for M.O.D.O.K, I'll share Domino's deck. And just briefly, because I will have a separate deck discussion for her deck to talk about it more specifically. So let's go ahead and get started here. So for the setup, first of all, we create the holding deck. And it's kind of weird doing that here in Dragon Cards, so I'm just going to tell you how I did it. So the holding deck is supposed to have 4 cards in it, and they're all holding cells. So this is an example of the first one. And they're supposed to be in a stack, and in that stack, the top one is the one that's currently in play. So, but I only have this one in play, and I have the rest in the victory display, and they've been randomized. So if you click here, you can see there they are randomized. Okay, and I just keep them hidden so I don't really see what's coming next. So, but here's the first one, and it enters play with 2 lock counters on it. Once we clear those lock counters, it has a forced interrupt. When the last lock counter is removed from here, flip this card and put Sarah Garza into play under any player's control. Of course, that'll be my control. And you can do that with this hero action. Spend in this case, for this particular holding cell, spend a wild resource or 3 resources of any type, and remove 1 lock counter from here. Right, so that's one of the ways you can do it, and you're about to see another way when we take a look at M.O.D.O.K himself. And then we also have to put 1 random adaptoid environment into play, 2 environments into play instead in expert mode, and we are in expert mode. So he's on side B here. That means he's in expert mode. Okay, so here are those 2 that were randomly gathered. So we have this flying upgrade, and each adaptoid, so this is an example of an adaptoid right here. Okay. Each adaptoid gets +1 scheme and gains Insight 1, and then gains the aerial trait. And then the second one in play is this psionic upgrade. The first one was the flying upgrade. Psionic upgrade, each adaptoid gains villainous and the psionic trait. Okay. And then next, each player, if you keep reading down the last sentence, each player searches the encounter deck for a copy of Adaptoid and reveals it. So that's why this Adaptoid is in play. And I have some markers on him if you look over where my mouse pointer is. So first of all, there's the Insight, the +1 scheme. So that's what that threat counter is to represent the +1 scheme. And then Insight 1. So you'll see when I flip this over, which I'll just flip it over now, that it starts with 1 threat on it, and then because the Insight 1 now has 2 threat on it. I assume that's the way that's supposed to work, even though it wasn't really flipped over yet. Okay. And then lastly, and then it has the aerial trait, which shouldn't have any real impact. And then this one, the villainous, and the psionic trait. Again, and the psionic trait shouldn't really have an impact either, but it gains villainous. And so the villainous that I have, I'm using that to stand for it, but I'll probably forget what it means, and I'll have to refer to these just to make sure I know what it means, assuming this adaptoid survives the first round here. Okay, and then lastly, so we flipped this over, and it has a forced interrupt. When this stage would be completed, put 1 random set-aside adaptoid environment into play instead. So again, these are the adaptoid environments. There are 2 in play. There are 4 altogether. I'm keeping the other ones. They've been shuffled up, and they are in this is the campaign stack. So that's where they'll come from. So notice there were 2 of them. So if 2 of them come into play, we lose. Because of this right here, right? It says put 1 random, so when this stage would be completed, put 1 random set-aside adaptoid environment into play instead. This is a forced interrupt. Then, if there are no set-aside adaptoid environments, the players lose. So if this happens twice, we automatically lose. Otherwise, so if we don't lose, remove all threat from here and shuffle each adaptoid minion. So this is an adaptoid minion. Shuffle each adaptoid minion that's from the encounter discard pile back into the encounter deck. Okay. And then lastly, let's see M.O.D.O.K himself. So he has 3 scheme. So he can, in fact, defeat this this main scheme pretty easily if he gets a chance to scheme. He has retaliate 2, and that's why, again, if you look at where my mouse pointer is, you'll see he has 2. I put 2 damage counters on him, so that's meant to stand for his 2 retaliate. That's a reminder for me. That's his 2 retaliate. But he also has steady. So, it would take 2 confuses or 2 stuns to, actually confuse or stun him. He has this forced interrupt. So this is another way you're going to see that we can get lock counters off of the holding cell. So here it is, forced interrupt. When M.O.D.O.K would be defeated, if a holding cell is in play, remove 2 lock counters from it. So notice we can remove both lock counters right off the bat if we do this. Remove 2 lock counters from it and reset M.O.D.O.K's hit points to 14 instead. Otherwise, the players win the game. In other words, so there are 4 of these holding cells, which means there are 4 of these. So in this case, there's Sarah Garza on the other side. So there are 4 of these allies that we can get into play. If we have all 4 of them in play, and then defeat M.O.D.O.K, we actually win the game. So that's how we win the game. We get all four of these allies that are in here, in these holding cells. We get all of them onto our side, and then once we do, and then defeat M.O.D.O.K, he officially gets defeated. So that's our goal here, to win this. Okay? So there's the setup. Now let me go ahead and show you Nina Thurman, also known as Domino, show you Domino's deck. So let's go do that. All right, so here's Domino's deck, Crap Shooting Ranger. And the reason she's called that is she's going to be doing ranged attacks so she can get around that 2 retaliate from M.O.D.O.K. Okay? And crap shooting, of course, because, of her luck, and we're planning on taking advantage of, her luckiness here. Okay. All right. So let's just quickly go through here and, just briefly. So our allies that we have in here are Caliban, Cyclops, Deadpool. By the way, Deadpool has, and just to show Domino's abilities real quickly, so we don't have to do that when the game starts either. So she has 9 hit points, hand size of 5 on the hero side, hand size of 6 on the other side, on her alter ego side. She has 1 thwart, 2 attack, 3 defense, and she has the Posse and X-Force traits. And then, but she has this awesome ability, when counting resources on cards discarded from the top of the deck, you can count each printed wild resource icon twice. And then she has this action, choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card of your deck, limit of once per round. And then on her alter ego side, she's a mutant. She has a recovery of 3. And then her action there is to choose a card in your hand and swap that card with the top card of your discard pile. Again, a limit once per round, right? So that's important for how her deck works, extremely important. Okay. So we have, again, Caliban, Cyclops, Deadpool. Deadpool has a wild resource. Her own allies, Diamondback and Outlaw, also have wild resources. Then we have Maria Hill, Nick Fury. Nick Fury is a huge part of this deck. It's meant to be that we're using him as the engine to get things rolling. And you'll see why in a little bit. Actually, there are 2 reasons why. One of them is to get Domino's pistols going, but the other is to run Cyclops, who, after Cyclops enters play, choose an enemy until the end of the phase, increase the amount of damage that enemy takes from each attack by 1. Okay. All right, and then we have Pixie, Professor X, and White Fox. And then for the events, we have 3 copies of Make the Call. And then player side schemes, we have Call for Backup and Superpower Training. Superpower Training's in the deck to try to get one of Domino's pistols in the game faster. And then for our resources, we have 3 copies of Digging Deep. And then the 3 doubles, Energy, Genius, and Strength. And notably in her deck comes this Jackpot, which is a triple resource. Okay. And it has this ability, by the way, after this card is discarded from the top of your deck, shuffle it back into your deck. And then for supports, we have Avengers Mansion and Helicarrier. And for the upgrades, we have 3 copies of Rapid Response and 1 copy of Sharpshooter. The hope is that with Rapid Response and the 2 Retaliate, that Nick Fury could actually, attack M.O.D.O.K, be defeated, and then come back into play with rapid response. And so first of all, in the first place, draw 3 cards, but then come back into play and draw 3 more cards. Okay? Or it could possibly do like 8 damage this way. Okay? Or what would it be, 10? It could do a bunch of damage just all by himself in this way too. And then also to take advantage of that, possibly with Professor X. The villain has Steady. If Professor X comes in, he has an attack of 0, but he can still attack because there is an attack there. So if he comes into play and he puts a confuse on the villain, he could actually attack the villain, be defeated by, well, first of all, the 2 retaliate and then the consequential damage. And if rapid response is in play, come back in again and confuse the villain. So I haven't done that yet. I did 2 practice games first. I haven't done that yet, but I have, in fact, in one of the games done the Nick Fury strategy that I mentioned a little bit ago. Okay. All right. So there you go. There's a little bit about how the deck is supposed to work. In the first game, it didn't work that way at all, but it just flowed. Like it's just, I didn't get to play Nick Fury more than once, really, and but I got these pistols out, so that's a big key. I forgot to mention this. So getting the pistols out is important because you exhaust these pistols and discard the top card of your deck, and you deal 1 damage to the enemy for each resource icon discarded that way. If it's a wild resource, you get to count it twice because of Domino's ability, so it'd be worth 2. But on top of that, the big important thing is these pistols, they gain ranged. So we can do ranged attacks and not take retaliate damage. So the Domino's pistols are meant to be the main resource for making that happen, but also Sharpshooter, which I don't even remember if I mentioned this is in the deck. Then it has a hero interrupt. When you make a ranged attack, discard the top card of your deck. Then the attack will deal 1 additional damage for each resource icon discarded this way. Again, you're hoping it's a wild resource, so it actually could increase it by 2 instead. All right, so or a double, okay? Or even the triple, right? So lots of ways to increase damage on those. All right, now let's get into the actual gameplay. All right, and I did forget to mention how the points work again. So the goal is to get a victory, which will give me 10 points. A loss will give me 3 points. But we also want to clear all of the threat off of the main scheme because each threat on the main scheme decreases my point total by 1. In addition, if there are each minion in play decreases my point total by 1, and each side scheme in play decreases my point total by 1. So we want this kind of perfect victory is the hope. Okay, now let's get started. Let's draw our hand size. All right. So, wow, we got the jackpot right off the bat. Very interesting. Let's see what we want to do with this. Okay, I'm going to discard just 1 card, which is Lucky Break, and then draw up our hand size for our mulligan. And, oh, wow, we already got Domino's pistol. Okay, excellent. All right. So what I am going to do here is go ahead and play Caliban right away using Jackpot. So let's discard Jackpot and play Caliban. And then after Caliban enters play, discard cards from the top of your deck. Oh, timeout. I just realized that's going to ruin what my plan is. How do I want to do this instead? Okay, we'll do it this way instead. So it's not quite as efficient, but it's going to be a better ploy, I think. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use Jackpot to play Domino's pistol, so not perfectly efficient. So I'm going to get that into play. All right. And then I'm going to use Nina Thurman's ability. Choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card of your discard pile. So I'm going to swap Pip the Pug with Jackpot. So we're going to bring Jackpot back in here. All right. Okay. And then now let's flip over. Okay? And then what we're going to do after that is we'll go ahead and use... We'll use this double and digging deep to play Caliban, and we're going to use his ability here. So part of our goal is to hopefully get Nick Fury closer to being drawn or in the discard pile and then be able to bring him back with Make the Call more quickly. So I want to get that kind of engine running with Nick Fury and eventually start getting Cyclops into play for extra damage. So here we go. So after Caliban enters play, discard cards from the top of your deck until an X-Factor, X-Force, or X-Men ally is discarded. So let's do that. That's none of those. There we go. There's an X-Force card. So we discarded quite a few, but that does mean we're closer to getting, some Nick Fury into play. Okay. All right. And then what we're going to do next is use Domino's ability here. So her action. Choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card of your deck. So I'm going to take this card and swap it with this top card here. Okay. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and use Domino's pistol. Well, actually, let's see how much damage can we do here. Okay. All right. So we're going to use Domino's pistol. So exhaust it. Discard the top card of our deck. Boom. We discarded Jackpot. And we deal 1 damage to the enemy for each resource icon discarded this way, gaining range. But we are going to attack Adaptoid with that. 1, 2, 3 damage there. Okay. But Jackpot was discarded from the top of the deck, so we can shuffle it back into the deck. So let's shuffle that. Okay. All right. And then next, we'll go ahead and, it doesn't matter which one, we'll just attack with Caliban, do 2 more damage. And notice this when defeated is here, remove 1 all-purpose counter from an environment. So we're going to remove this all-purpose counter from the holding cell. So now it's down to 1. And now we just need 1 more wild to free this prisoner, basically. So we're going to spend Deadpool, who has a wild resource, and that's going to get rid of another one. And so here's the Forced Interrupt, right? The last lock counter is removed. Flip this card and put Sarah Garza into play under our control. Oh, and let's go ahead and discard Adaptoid now. It's been defeated. So there we go, flip her over. And Sarah Garza is a really nice one to have on your side, right? So it does not count against your ally limit. So let me stick her, yeah, I'll put her on the right. That works out. Oops. Okay, right? So Sarah Garza, has this ability here for her attacks. Sarah Garza's attacks gain overkill and ranged. And then, but there's a forced response after this card leaves play, flip it and place it on the bottom of the holding cell deck. So we could have to get her out again if we do allow her to be defeated or leave play in any way. So now let's go ahead and attack with her though. Okay, so again, she gains overkill and range. So she will deal 2 damage to M.O.D.O.K, bringing him down from 14 to 12, and with the range bypassing the Retaliate 2. And then we're going to use Domino to just get 1 threat off the main scheme. All right. Let's ready up and draw our hand size. All right. And then it's now M.O.D.O.K's turn. And this is the first round. I suppose I'll try keeping track of that again, but I'm sure I'll lose track. Okay, so add 1 threat to the main scheme. Okay? And he's going to attack. And we will defend with Domino for 3. Okay? And the attack is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we take 1 point of damage, going from 9 down to 8. And then now he gets his encounter card, flip that over. The villain in each minion engaged with you attacks you. Okay, so I don't want to take that one fully to the face here, so I will go ahead and defend with Caliban on this one. So he's attacking for a 1, 2, 3, and then this card gains 1 extra boost for each aim minion in the victory display. Oh, I just want to point out, this is not an aim minion, right? It's an adaptoid minion. So we do have some, I think like 2, I think there might be 2 aim minions, I'm not sure. All right, so let's keep the order there. Okay, so that does nothing extra, and so, but it is enough to defeat Caliban. Okay, back to our turn, and it'll be round 2. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. Let's see. Oh, I don't have any of those, but I can get superpower training out. That's good. So let's go ahead and I'm going to use Cyclops to play superpower training. Okay. And then we'll get Maria Hill out. And we'll draw a card for her ability. Okay, we get make the call. Nice. Okay. And then I'm going to have her remove 2 threat, use her thwart and remove 2 threat from superpower training. So this will give us a chance to get our other pistol out soon. Okay. And then I am going to attack with Sarah Garza, ranged attack, so dealing 2 more damage here. And then let's use the pistol. And did I forget to attack with the pistol last round? I did. Ah! Okay, so let's discard the top card. And it does have a wild resource. So because of Domino's ability here, we get to count that twice. So we deal 2 more ranged damage. So it goes from 10 down to 8. All right. Okay, excellent. Let's ready up and draw our hand size. And it's now M.O.D.O.K's turn. Let's add 1 threat to the main scheme. He's going to attack. We will defend with Maria Hill. No, I was going to do that, but I'm going to defend with Domino. All right, so attacking for 1, 2, 3. So we take no damage. And then he gets his encounter card. When revealed, it's a treachery. Each player searches the encounter deck and discard pile for an adaptoid minion and reveals it. Then deal each player who did not engage a minion this way a face down encounter card. Oh, well, that's okay. So the first part will happen. So an adaptoid minion and reveal it. So I think I'm going to do that from the discard pile. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that from the discard pile. Okay, now it's back to our turn. Oh, I actually forgot to do something here. So once I got this I got this rescued ally into play. I should have put the very next holding cell into play. Okay? So I like this to be on the left, and then let's put 2 lot counters on it. Okay, and this one we have to spend energy resources. So I can spend 2 energy resources or 3 resources of any type and remove a lock counter from here. All right. Okay, so got that fixed. And here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to pay with Avengers Mansion and make the call, and I'm going to put Rapid Response out. And then I'm going to remove this 1 threat from Superpower Training, defeating Maria Hill, and then triggering Rapid Response to get Maria Hill back into play with 1 damage on her. Okay. All right, but we did take care of the superpower training, which means we can now find, so let's put that out of play, okay? And so we can now get an identity-specific upgrade and put it into our hand. I'm going to find that in our deck here, so upgrade, and there it is, Domino's pistol. So now we have another pistol. Shuffle the deck. All right, I like on the pistols because they do damage. I like putting damage counters on them. Okay. All right, so, and then lastly, I'm going to use, or not lastly, but now I'm going to use Domino's ability here to swap this card with the top card. Okay. So let's take this card out and put this card back. Okay. All right. And then, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that yet. Hold on. Let me reverse that real quickly. When Maria Hill came into play, I was supposed to draw a card. There. Okay, so now I drew a card. So now I will make that swap. Okay? So let's go ahead and take the top card here and put this in back there. All right, now we're going to go ahead and use her pistol. Okay, so Domino's pistol. So we'll discard the top card. It is a wild resource, so it's going to deal 2 damage here. Okay, and then we're going to do the same with this pistol. Discard this card, and it's just 1 resource, so it deals just 1 damage. But White Fox has this ability. After White Fox is discarded from the top of your deck, put her into play under your control. So now she comes into play under our control. And let's see. And then next, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to play Pixie. Okay. And then Pixie has this ability. After you play Pixie from your hand, add an X-Men ally from your discard pile to your hand. How many of those make the calls? I mean, rapid responses have we played so far? Let's look at the upgrades. Just 2, so we still have 1 left. Okay. All right. So, and let's get our ally here. Okay. And the ally I want to put into hand, right? So it has to be an X-Men. So it could either be Cyclops or Professor X. And I'm going to go ahead and get Professor X. I'm going to take Professor X in this case. Okay. All right. And let's go ahead and let's see, keep the order there. That's the discard pile. All right, and let's go ahead and defeat Adaptoid here. I'm going to attack with Pixie, who's for 2 damage, defeating the Adaptoid, and that's going to remove an all-purpose counter from there. And she takes 2 consequential, so she's defeated. And then we will go ahead and attack with Sarah Garza, who has range. Oh, and get rid of that. Sarah Garza, who has ranged, and deal 2 damage here. Okay. And then White Fox, we're going to remove a threat. Okay. And then do I want to do the same with Maria Hill and keep this safe? Because we haven't seen any of our advances yet, right? No, we have not seen any of our advances yet. And that could be defeated rather easily. So I'm going to use Maria Hill to remove 2 more threat and let her be defeated. Okay, let's ready up. And let's draw a hand size. And there's a rapid response. Nice. All right. So let's go ahead and that was the start of our 3rd round. So now it's the middle of our 3rd round and it's M.O.D.O.K's turn. All right, at least I think I'm keeping track of that correctly so far. Okay, so add 1 threat counter here. And M.O.D.O.K's going to attack. And we're going to defend with Domino. So it's an attack of 1, 2, so we take no damage. Then get our encounter card. And the villain attacks you, and we will go ahead and defend that attack with White Fox. So attacking for 1, 2, 3. So White Fox is defeated. And now it's back to our turn. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use Domino's pistols first. So let's go ahead and do our first attack. Discard this card. It's just a mental resource. So we just deal 1 damage down to 5. Use the second one. Discard that card, and that's Nick Fury. That's too bad. Just 1 resource, so that's 2 more damage, or 1 more damage. And then we'll use Sarah Garza. She'll take a consequential, but she does 2 more ranged damage. So again, that's all ranged damage. So down to 2. Okay. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use Jackpot to play Professor X. Oh, hold on. That's right, we have a make the call in hand. So that's going to change things. Yeah, okay, interesting. So actually, we're going to use Jackpot and Digging Deep. So we're going to play Make the Call. We're going to use Jackpot and Digging Deep to play Nick Fury. And go ahead and keep the order of that. That's there. Okay, and we'll draw 3 cards. Interesting. Okay, we're gonna play Rapid Response. So we're gonna go 1, 2 to play Rapid Response. Nick Fury. Oh, get rid of Make the Call. Nick Fury is going to attack for 2, dealing 2 damage here. Oh, hold on. Oh, that's kind of a waste. Well, that's okay. I'm going to take the waste. Okay, we're going to deal 2 damage. Okay. Excuse me, I came in. I don't know why I put that damage here, but we're going to take 2 retaliate damage. Okay. And we're going to do 2 damage, take 2 retaliate damage because he stays in play. Okay. All right. So when M.O.D.O.K would be defeated, if a holding cell is in play, remove 2 counters. Right. So we'll move the one that we can, flip the flying inhuman over, and they will be on our side now. Okay. And then now Nick Fury takes consequential damage. Okay. And that's going to defeat him, and that'll trigger rapid response to bring Nick Fury back into play. And before we take care of that, let's finish this part actually. He gets his 14 hit points back. Right, so he's back up to 14. Okay. And we get our next holding cell into play. So we have just 2 left now. Okay. And this one gets 2 lock counters on it. And for this one, we have to spend mental resources. And if we do spend 2 mental resources, we can remove a lock counter from here. Okay. But let's see what the flying inhuman does. Does not count again, does not count against your ally limit. After this ally thwarts, remove 1 threat from another scheme. Okay. All right. I'm not going to bother thwarting yet, actually. Okay. And it has the same force response. If it leaves play, it gets back at the bottom of the holding cell deck. Okay. All right. So for Nick Fury, I want him to stay in to defend, actually. So Now we need to draw the 3 cards. And that's actually going to reset the deck here. All right. Okay, so, but that does give us, the ability to get Sharpshooter out. So I'm going to pay with these 2 and get Sharpshooter out. And Sharpshooter has this interrupt. And when you make a ranged attack, discard the top card of your deck. Notice we don't have to exhaust this. This attack deals 1 additional damage for each resource icon discarded this way. And again, we're hoping for those wild resources to count them double, okay, with Domino's ability. Okay. All right. So now, let's see. I don't want Nick Fury to be defeated right away. So we will just remove this 1 threat from here. Okay. Okay, and that ends our turn. I do want to keep Professor X just in case I get lucky with the cards that are pulled, and we can, because I would like to, if we can, have the ability to go down to Alter Ego side. Okay. All right. So, Lucky and Good. Oh, but I could get Lucky and Good into play. That's a pretty nice one to have in play. All right. Nope. Let's go ahead and just draw. Actually, why don't we do this, use Domino's ability here and switch these and just see what we get. Oh, okay. All right. Doesn't really do much for us, but let's go ahead and ready up and draw our hand size. Okay. And there's Make the Call again. Okay, excellent. All right, so let's add 1 threat to the main scheme. And oh, that was our 4th round, the start of our 4th round. So this is the second half of our 4th round, I think. Okay, and then now he's going to attack. We will defend with Nick Fury. So he's attacking for 1, 2 damage. That defeats Nick Fury. And then we have 1 encounter card. Let's deal another. And the first one, ooh, okay. Monica Rappaccini, 3 scheme, 1 attack, 5 hit points, aim, genius. This is a victory of -1 and is vulnerable. Oh, that's vulnerable, right? So we could discard this character if it's stunned or confused. While Scientist Supreme is in the victory display, Monica Rappaccini gains villainous. Okay, all right, so we can avoid getting her in the victory display, actually, herself, if we use Professor X on her. So that's an interesting thought. Okay. All right, let's get the next one. Reveal your set-aside Nemesis minion and put it into play engaged with you. So get our Nemesis minion here. So that's Topaz. Search the encounter deck, discard pile, and set-aside area for 1 copy of Super Power Feedback and attach it to your identity. Okay. All right, so what is it called again? Super Power Feedback. Is that this one? There it is. Okay, attached to your identity. Well, that doesn't sound good. All right, I haven't had to deal with this yet. So, force response. After you resolve an ability on your identity or an identity-specific card, take 1 damage. So after you resolve an ability on your identity or on an identity-specific card, take 1 damage. Okay, and then alter ego action, discard 1 identity-specific card from your hand. Discard this card. Okay. All right, so clearly we're going to want to do that. So we might be in a little bit of trouble here. Okay. All right, next, let's see. So search the encounter deck, discard pile, set aside area for 1 copy. Okay, we got that taken care of. All right, then reveal your set aside Nemesis side scheme. So let's reveal that. When revealed, each player must either take 1 damage or place 2 threat here. Each character? Each player. Okay. All right, so we will take 1 damage. We'll down to 7. And it has an amplify icon on it. And then now we can do the rest. Shuffle the rest of the cards into the encounter deck. So let's shuffle that one, which is a minion, and another one of these. Okay, let's shuffle those into the deck. All right, and that's it for Shadow of the Past. Okay, back to our turn. And man, okay, yeah, that's some trouble, right? Because we're going to be taking damage each time we use her ability. After you resolve an ability on your identity or an identity-specific card, take 1 damage. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do to start with is use Make the Call to get Nick Fury here, right? So we'll get Nick Fury, but that means we won't have Professor X. Yeah, I think Professor X is going to be wiser on this point, so I'm just going to use these 3 cards, 1, 2, 3, get Professor X into play, and then Professor X has this ability right here, Forced Response. After Professor X enter play, choose one, confuse the villain, stun a minion. That's what I'm going to do. Already an X-Men character. So I'm going to stun a minion. I'm going to stun Monica Rappaccini. Okay. But she has vulnerable, discard this character if stunned or confused. So she's going to be discarded. All right. Okay, and then we're going to use Professor X to get rid of this 3 threat. And so defeat Not My Lucky Day. And then let's see what we can do about Topaz. All right, let's go ahead and use a pistol here. And that's going to discard this card. And it is a wild. So let's see, how's this read exactly? After you resolve an ability on your identity or an identity-specific card, take 1 damage. So I just resolved this ability, so I take 1 damage. Okay, and then I am going to use, let's not use her ability, so I don't take a damage. So we're just going to do 1 damage with that. And then I'm going to, oh no, we want to do 2 damage. Okay, I see. Deal 2 damage. So we did just use her ability, so we take another point of damage. Okay. And then we can just defeat this without having to do that again. Yes, so we're going to use the Flying Inhuman to attack and deal the 3rd damage there. And then let's go ahead and attack with Sarah Garza. Boy, she's running low. I think we'd better wait on her a little bit. Okay, and let's go ahead and flip Domino. And then we'll go ahead and get rid of this, right? Alter Ego action, discard 1 identity-specific card from your hand. Oh, we don't have one in our hand. Well, let's see if we get lucky. Let's flip back over. I'm going to trade this card for the top card. And we did not get lucky. Okay. All right. So, but let's do this. We'll flip to this side. So I could, and then, yeah, this works out. Choose a card in your hand and swap that card with the top card of your discard pile. So hold on. Wait a minute. After you resolve an ability on your identity, so I resolved this ability, this action, so I take a damage again. Now I flip over, and I'm going to take a damage again because I'm going to use her alter ego ability, right? Her action. Choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card of your discard pile. So I'm going to swap this with the top card of my discard pile. Okay, and I take another damage. Okay, wow, unbelievable. All right, now we're gonna, this is a domino card. Okay, so discard an identity-specific card from your hand, discard this card. So discard this card, and now we can get rid of that. Boy, that's a terrible card. All right, I think I probably should have put that, I can't remember what card it is, but the one that can bring your, yeah, wow, okay. So let's go ahead now, and I guess that finishes our turn, and we'll go ahead and ready up, and draw our hand size, and, oh, wait, she didn't have to, all I had to do was discard, oh, so she can heal. Yeah, so sorry, before I do all that, so let's undo it. Okay, let's use her ability to heal there, right, her recovery, and heal 3 to get back up to 6. Okay, at least that's something. All right, yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, so let's hope we get lucky here and M.O.D.O.K doesn't defeat this scheme, probably will. Okay. All right, so let's put 1 thread on the main scheme. He has 3 scheme. So let's see, that was the beginning of the 5th phase. So now we're on the 2nd half of the 5th phase, I think. All right, so get this. So 3 scheme plus 3 more, and that does defeat this. So if we do that, so let's go ahead and read it. When this stage would be completed, put 1 random set aside adaptoid environment into play instead. So I have these here. So there it is. And so this one, each Adaptoid gets +1 ATK, gains toughness, and the Brute's trick. So that can be difficult because of the toughness. Okay. All right, next. Let's see. Remove all threat. He doesn't win yet, so remove all threat. But if that happens again, he does win. And shuffle each Adaptoid minion from the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. So let's look at the minions. There's one Adaptoid only. All right. So let's shuffle that back up. All right. So if that happens again, we lose. Okay. Okay. So now he gets an encounter card, and he has 2 of his own cards that can make him actually scheme again. Plus, we still haven't gotten any advances. So he actually has four cards altogether that he can get that can make him scheme again. All right, so we can be in pretty big danger very quickly here. Let's see what he gets. Okay, so Hinder 1. So it has 3 threat on it. Hinder 1, so we have 1 more and an Amplify. Okay, all right. So that's the end of his turn. That's going to start our 6th round, and after Professor X gets discarded at the end there. Okay, all right. So I would like to go ahead and heal up the rest of the way to 9. Okay, all right, and let's see what we can do from here. All right, we're going to use Jackpot. So let's play Make the Call, and we're going to use Jackpot to pay to get Professor X back into play. Okay. All right, and then Professor X is going to put a first confuse on him. He has steady, so he's not confused yet. Okay, and then we're going to use then we're going to use Nina Thurman's ability. Choose a card in your hand, swap that card with the top card in your discard pile. Okay, so I'm going to choose a Good Workout and swap that here. Okay. All right, so put that back into my hand. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and play. I'm going to use Probability Field to put Call for Backup in play. Okay, and then Professor X is going to remove 3 threat from Call for Backup to defeat it, to complete it. Okay, and then we will be able to get Nick Fury. Here he is, and put him into play because of Call for Backup, and then we're going to draw 3 cards. All right, and then we will go ahead and play. Let's see, what does this take? Mental Resources. Okay, let's flip over now. And we're going to use the Genius card here to get rid of one of these. Okay. All right, on the holding cell. So that gets rid of 2. And then let's use Strength to play Rapid Response. And then I'm going to attack with Nick Fury here for 2 damage. Okay. All right, and then he's actually going to take 2 Retaliate, and then a Consequential. And then Rapid Response triggers. Triggers. And here, let's put this here. And then we're going to get Nick Fury out again, and we're going to draw 3 more cards. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 more Mental Resources. We're going to use the Avengers Mansion. Oh, that's interesting. That's super interesting. Let's pay 1, 2, and get this Rapid Response out. Okay, and we're going to attack again with Nick Fury for 2 more damage. Okay, getting him down to 10 hit points. He's going to take 2 Retaliate and his Consequential. Be defeated. Trigger Rapid Response to bring him back in, and he's going to draw. Well, I'm doing a lot of damage, but I'm going to draw 3 more cards. Okay, And then I'm going to pay with Digging Deep and Pip the Pug in order to do 2 more mental resources. And we're going to get free this from the holding cell. Okay. And then that's going to get our last holding cell into play with 2 more lock counters on it. Okay. And this one takes physicals in order to remove lock counters from here. Okay. Okay. Oh, I accidentally attached this. Let's detach. Okay. And then Psionics Inhuman has this. After this ally thwarts, remove 1 lock counter from a holding cell. So let's go ahead and use that to remove 1 threat here and remove 1 of these lock counters. So he'll be able to remove the other one on his next turn. Okay. So with that, let's go ahead and have Nick Fury remove 2 more threat from there. And we'll have this Inhuman remove 1 more threat from here, defeating that side scheme. So we don't have to worry about that now. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to use Domino's ability to switch the top card of the deck, right? This action, switch the top card of the deck with a card in my hand. So I'm going to put Jackpot into here. So let's draw the card first and then put Jackpot in. And we're going to attack. So we're going to attack with Domino's Pistol. Do this. That's going to be 3 points of damage to begin with. It starts off at 3. Let's see. But this got discarded, so it gets shuffled in. Okay. And then we go ahead and use this Interrupt. When you make a ranged attack, discard the top card of your deck. And we deal another point of damage for that. So it's 4 points of range damage, so down to 6. If I did something wrong there, because that's a little weird, the sequencing, because this is an interrupt, so I'm not sure of the timing of that. Somebody let me know, please. Okay. All right, so down to 6 on that. And then go ahead and use the other pistol. Discard this card. We get Digging Deep. That is a wild, so we're going to deal 2 damage, but this comes into our hand because of its ability, its response. And we'll do this to discard another card. That is a wild as well, so we're going to deal 2 more, so that's 4 damage. Down to 2 points left. Okay, we need to get rid of this. Can we do that? 2 physicals. Yes, we can. I think we're going to win right now then. So we're going to spend Digging Deep and Cyclops to get rid of this. And that's going to give us the 4th and final one of the Inhumans who gets a toughness. Okay. And then either Sarah Garza, either one, I'll just attack with both, take a consequential. That's a ranged attack, does 2 damage. Or I could have attacked with this one, getting rid of the tough and taking consequential. Well, not really, because it's going to win. So, and do 3 damage there. Either way, wins the game. And there we go. So the deck worked a little bit with the strategy using Nick Fury multiple times. So that's pretty cool. Didn't really use Cyclops the way I did in other decks to get the extra points of damage, but we didn't need to. So I'm really enjoying this deck against M.O.D.O.K. In particular. Very fun being able to use these kind of strategies to recur Nick Fury immediately instead of waiting. Possibly could have done that with Professor X, possibly could have done that with Cyclops as well, so that you do 1 extra damage per attack. Okay. All right, so that's it for the game. Hope you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'd love to read people's comments and reply back to them. So do so if you wish to. All right, have a great one, everybody.